Peter Joseph Lenné was a Prussian gardener and landscape architect from Bonn who worked in the German classicist style. Life and works, childhood and development. Lenné was the son of the royal court and university gardener of Bonn, Peter Joseph Lenné the elder, and his wife, Anna Katharina Podgweiter, daughter of the mayor of Rheinberg. After the abitur, Lenné decided to work with gardens. He began his apprenticeship as a gardener in 1808 with his uncle, Joseph Clemens Wehe, the court gardener in Brühl. From 1809 to 1812, Lenné took many study trips, paid for by his father, which took him to southern Germany, to France, and to Switzerland. In 1811, he completed a long internship in Paris with Gabriel Doan, who was then one of the most famous garden architects in Europe. This made him a master landscaper. On another of these trips, Lenné made the acquaintance of the creator of the English garden in Munich, the landscape gardener Friedrich Ludwig von Schull, who would have a lasting influence on Lenné's work. Assistant gardener in 1812, Lenné followed his father to Koblenz, where he had been named director of the gardens by the prefect Jules Doazen. Later in that year, Lenné became active at Schloss Schönbrunn, where he would remain until 1814. He then returned to Koblenz, where he was given private garden commissions until 1815. Extensions to the city's fortifications gave him an opportunity to propose a plan for its beautification by the addition of gardens. However, this was not carried out because of lack of funds. In 1816, he returned to Potsdam at the suggestion of Prussian forestry official Georg Ludwig Hartog and General Graf von Hack, that he received the position of assistant gardener to the court garden director at Sanssouci, while still working as an assistant gardener. In spring 1816, Lenné received a commission from the Prussian Chancellor Karl August von Hardenberg to renovate the grounds around his country house at Klein Glienicke. This work on Glienicke Palace, which would later become Prince Karl of Prussia's residence, laid the groundwork for Lenné's designs for the surrounding area of Potsdam, which he wanted to turn into a Gesamtkunstwerk. The upgrades of the Glienicke grounds were followed, in close cooperation with the architects Carl Friedrich Schenkel, Ludwig Perseus, and Ferdinand von Arnim, by those of others such as the Böttcherberg and facing it Babelsberg Park, which was completed by Prince Hermann von Pacula-Muskau. Characteristic of Lenné's work, a versatile sight axis, a horticultural stylistical device, which he applied at Sanssouci Park and elsewhere, as part of the Berlin-Potsdam cultural landscape, which stretches from the Voreninsul to Werder. Many sites of Lenné's work are World Heritage Sites and have been under the protection of UNESCO collectively since 1990. Prussian Garden Director General. The accomplishments of the garden architect are reflected in his career progression. In 1818 he was an employee of the Royal Garden Authority, and in 1822 he received a promotion to gardening director. That same year, Lenné became a founding member of the Prussian Society for the Promotion of Horticulture. Lenné also accepted the position of manager of the Division of Orchard Cultivation and later of the Parks Division. In 1823, the Gardner Academy in Schöneberg and Potsdam was founded under his management. Here garden architecture was taught in a scientific manner for the first time. In 1828, Lenné was named the sole garden director and in 1845, Prussian Garden Director General. The Akademie der Kunst made Lenné an honorary member. In 1840, the recently enthroned King Friedrich Wilhelm IV assigned the urban planning of Berlin to Lenné. One of his most important achievements in this role survives in the building of the Luisenstadt Canal, constructed in 1852, between the Landwehr Canal and the River Spree in Kreuzberg. The canal's design was based on plans by Chief Building Officer Johann Karl Ludwig Schmid. Despite centering his life around Potsdam and Berlin, Lenné remained attached to his Rhenish homeland and contributed to the further beautification of Koblenz, particularly in the Rheinum-Lagen, which was under his management until 1861. His love of his work on the Rhine and Mosel made him decide to build the residence named for him, the Lenné House, in which he wished to spend the evening of his life. However, the manner of his death did not allow this. Lenné's last resting place is at the Bornstedt Cemetery in Potsdam. Busts of Peter Joseph Lenné are located at the Bonn Botanical Garden on the bank of the Rhine, in the Landschaftspark Petzau that he himself designed, in Feldafing Park in Park Sanssouci, and in the Kaiser and Augusta Anlagen in Koblenz. A recent bust was finished by Bad Homburg sculptor Otto Weber Hartl. Main works: Park of Neuhardenberg Palace, Roseninsel Lenné Park in Feldafing at Lake Starnberg, Klosterberger Garten in Magdeburg, Zwischenjagd Park, Zolotau, Park Sanssouci in Potsdam, Garden of Kapith Palace at Potsdam, Landscape Park at Petzau Palace, Werder, Kleinglenig Park, Berlin, designed for the Landscape Park in Blumberg, designed for the Landwehrkanal, designed for the Luisenstädtische Canal, Berlin, designed for the Tiergarten, Berlin, designed for the parks at Blankensee Palace in Trebon, designed for the Spa Gardens at Bad Homburg, Gardens of Schloss Liebenberg in the Lauenburger Land, described in Fontaine's FUNF Schlossow, Park of Wolfshagen Palace, Park of Schloss Trebnitz, Lenné Park in Frankfurt, Kaiser and Augusta Anlagen on the Rhine and Electoral Palace Park in Koblenz, Elisengarten, City Park and Spa Gardens in Aachen, Castle Park and Zenov in Sinzig, Gardens of Friedrichsfelde Palace, now Tierpark Friedrichsfelde, in Berlin, Clifftop Gardens at Stolzenfels Castle, Koblenz, Castle Garden in Brühl, designed for the Spa Gardens at Bad Oeynhausen, Palace Park of Ferslich-Drainer in Luckau, parts of Burgerwies Gardens in Dresden, Dresden Zoo,